This is Jim Plant, a claustrophobic, clumsy hemophiliac with a third-grade reading level and a strong passion for the outdoors. After a wild night out with the boys, Jim has awoken to find himself alone in the woods with nothing but his signature cargo shorts to help him survive. He's gonna have to start from scratch and build his way up the tech tree if he wants to make it out of here alive. Can he overcome the harsh weather? Oh no. No, rain. Scarce resources. One food, huh? And an empty plastic bottle, oh joy. And less than friendly locals.
Huh? You like that?
Join us today as we find out. All mods and sandbox settings will be down in the description, as well as the starting save if you'd like to play along. Jim had no time to ponder the moral ramifications of socializing with primates, as the clock on his survival had already begun ticking down. As a seasoned survivor, he knew that his first and best option was to seek help. This did not go very well. I wonder where everybody is. Oh, hello. Oh, thank God, I was just beginning to think I was alone out here. Hello, sir. How are you? Oh, I would love a hug. Okay, maybe not right away though, buddy. Buy me some dinner. Sorry, let me help you up there. I didn't expect you to. Hey, back off, pal. Come on, what's with it? Leave me alone. Hey, you got friends? Okay, listen. This isn't a party, buddy. I just want to know how to get out of here. Could you please back off, pal? Listen, pal. If you can't back off, okay, I'm not gonna either. Alright? This is Jim Plant from Boston. Okay, we don't play in those parts. Yeah? You like some of that? Yeah, that's what I thought. Get out of here, buddy. Back off! My God, what's wrong with you? Leave Jim alone! Oh God. Oh God, they're dead. Just walk away. Just walk away. God damn it! Oh God. With the locals clearly hostile and some dark clouds on the horizon, Jim knew that his only hope for escape would come from the outside. This meant he was alone with God only knows how many madmen on what appeared to be some sort of island. He needed to take stock, secure a source of food and water, and set up an SOS signal, and he needed to do it fast. Jim walked over to the bodies of the people that he'd just killed, and immediately noticed something was off about them. Their skin was a dull, sickly gray, and the stench of death clung to them even more tightly than their ragged clothes. Injuries that would have crippled any normal person covered every exposed inch of their emaciated bodies. Jim could barely look as he reached down into the ichor that surrounded him to salvage what he could. Most of what he found was to be expected. A few pieces of worn jewelry and tattered clothing. Even the shoes they wore were too damaged to be of any use to him. The only item of value in the whole sickening pile was an old mechanical watch that was somehow still ticking. Looks like it's still pretty early in the day. Good. The next step would be to take inventory of what he had to work with. Jim hauled the filthy rags to the beach just south of where he'd collected them and began processing the tattered clothing down into usable strips of cloth. On the way there, he misjudged a step and put his foot down squarely on the only Lego piece around for miles. A scratch like this could kill him if it got infected out here. Jim immediately washed himself and applied one of the fresh rags to his foot. He then carefully wound a few more of them around his hands and feet to act as primitive gloves and socks. Not much, but certainly better than nothing. Then it was time to see what he could find back at that not-so-abandoned campsite he'd woken up in. Strewn about the place were piles of trash and debris. Rummaging through it all, Jim found an old whetstone, some empty cans, and an old bottle of lemonade. This may seem like garbage, and, well, yeah, it is, but to Jim, this was a treasure trove. The whetstone could be used to make all sorts of tools, and the bottle and cans could be used to hold and purify water. However, that would require a source of heat, and so Jim's next priority would be to force a little more entropy into the world. To do this, he'd need to make a drill plank, which would require diving into Project Zomboid's labyrinthian crafting system. So to make a drill plank, we need an improvised screwdriver or a plank. Okay. We can also use a large branch or a log. But we need some kind of tool. What can we use? We can use a sharp flint flake. We could use a simple knife, a stone knife, a stone knife. Okay, a stone drill. We have options. Okay, so either we got to get napping up to level 5 to make a stone drill. I don't think that's going to work. What's it going to take us to make a flake? We need a flint nodule and a rock. Or just 2 rocks. And a surface. Okay. We know what we must do. We need to find a log. We need to find 2 rocks. That might be harder than it looks. There's a rock. Okay, good start. There's another rock. We can beat a deer to death with a stick. You're lucky I'm slow. Aha! A log. Now, if memory serves from survival school, I learned that you can use these large boulders as crafting surfaces, so let's go test that theory out. So if we're standing over here, and we try to make a flint flake, it won't work, right? Because we need a surface. If I go up next to this thing and face it, and I try to make the sharp flint flake, there it is. We now have a surface, so that the rock in front of me, the boulder over here, counts as a surface. So let's go ahead and craft that. 20 napping experience and 2 sharp flint flakes. Perfect. So now we should be able to make a drill plank. Perfect. Lovely. And you know what I'd actually like to work on is I'd like to make us... Crude stone axe would be good. That would be good. Stone hammer would be pretty good. Stone blade. I think we start with that. Okay. So let's put the stone knife on the belt. There we go. Now we've got some options. We've still got a stone, a tree branch, and a hammer. Do I want a hammer or do I want an axe first? I think let's go axe because I'm pretty sure we can use that to cut down bushes, which should give us more branches. Beautiful. Put that on the back. That's on the belt. Let's go chopping. Very nice. No animation, but who needs one? Tree branch and twigs. Beautiful. So now, I should be able to make my hammer. Ah, I need more clean rags, so let's wash all the rags. Beautiful. We've now got our notch plank. Let's go ahead and drop this bad boy off. And then we need to go look for some firewood, I guess. Whoop. Hello. Well, say hello to my little friend. Any day now.
Jim's shiny new axe might not be strong enough to chop down a tree, but it is more than capable of taking down a zombie in not quite no time, but not as bad time. His new knife meant that he would also now be able to process down those leather jackets and denim pants he'd found, which make for much stronger tool binding materials than mere rags do. With the full belt of tools and a belly full of desire, Jim set out to gather some firewood and explore the island a little more.
I think, before we do anything, we should make a short spear here. Uh-oh. Now that is effective. So you've got a duffel bag. That is pretty big. Oh, that's gonna change things. And a hat, that could be useful. It's in pretty good condition too. Oh my god. That's a little too much for me for today. I think we're gonna back off and just sort out our firewood.
With it abundantly clear that he'd need to fight his way through the hordes to find the edge of the island, Jim decided to return to camp and tidy things up a bit before sundown. By 6 o'clock, he'd cleared the brush around the camp, relocated his uninvited guests, and organized his supplies. He still didn't have nearly enough fuel to bank the fire through the night though, and so he set out again to track down some more.
Okay, we're looking for logs, we're looking for love. We're absolutely not looking for locals. Oh, I see a tree branch, and I see a log. Good start. Hello. Goodbye.
It's a ghost. Oh god. What was that? That was the sound of a broken spear. God damn it. What have you got? You got a fork and a pen. We can use the pen. We can write on the map now. Okay, it looks like the south of the island is much more heavily forested. With a choker? Well, I mean, you gotta. And it is definitely looking more and more like this is actually an island. Definitely more land to the north, but I don't know how to swim. Uh-oh. That sounds like dinner. And I don't want to be it. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god, there's a couple of them. Okay, run, run, run. That is not something I have the equipment for right now. Okay, so these woods are absolutely infested. We are gonna need to seriously arm up if we want to take over this island. Oh crap. Pick up the log. Pick up the log. Run. I'm heavy. Very nice though. Very nice. Okay, drink a little bit more of the lemon pop. So with the pen, we can now mark this as home. Right there. We know that we've got a boulder up top just north of us. And there's another one down there, and there is definitely the edge of the island on this side. We got a long way to go. And more guests. With a digital watch, we're double watching it. Okay, we still need more wood though. Back into the forest.
However, Mother Nature had other plans.
Oh no. No, 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 don't rain. Don't rain yet. Oh, that's very bad timing. Oh, I don't want that at all. What's going on over there?
Just as Jim had feared, the roiling clouds he'd spotted on the horizon earlier had come his way, and were now unleashing all hell on his little campsite. Thankfully, his tent sheltered the campfire from the worst of the rain, and so he was able to get it lit and fueled.
Yes! Yes! It worked. Okay. Okay. Now, we're boiling the water. The water is drinkable. It's no longer tainted. We've actually done it. That's incredible. So what we should really do at this point is grab a couple of these rags and sterilize them, so that we have sanitized. Actually, no, let's do all four. So that we have sanitized rags we can use for medicine. So if I go here and I say disinfect bandage, that's going to be pretty huge. Beautiful. Let's keep those in the bag, nice and safe. And I guess we can put our garbage bag down for the moment. And then we, as long as we sit next to our tent, there we go, we won't be negatively affected by the rain. And it is coming down, man.
But with the sun setting and the weather worsening, Jim had nothing else to do but keep busy and hope the storm wouldn't last the night.
Well, you know what they say, make hay while the sun doesn't shine. Wow, that was a bit of a process. And we managed to produce 12 units of food. I think we'll stash that in the tent for safekeeping. We've got a bunch of hay, should we ever need it. I'm sure we can find a use for it. What is it for, actually? Make a scarecrow. Perfect. And let's add another log in there. And then it might be time for bed.
Well, shit. Now look, this isn't all bad. The sound of the storm would muffle Jim's actions, and it would also water his plants. If he had any. But the rumbling in the sky was the least of Jim's worries, as his stomach was doing a pretty good AC/DC impression of its own. Now there are 3 different ways to get food out in the wild. By foraging.
Oh, look at this beauty.
By fishing.
You give a poor man a fish and you feed him for a day. You teach him to fish you give him, and
or by hunting.
Faster! Faster, Bambi! Don't look back!
Without a bow, hunting is pretty much out of the question, as our resident water deer over there are a little out of reach. That leaves foraging, which is entirely dependent on RNG, or fishing, which requires either a spear or rod, and is also entirely dependent on RNG. Great! Either way, we'd need some new tools, which means Jim would need to go looking for yet more resources. So we are currently level 3 in foraging. We started with that with some of our starting traits. They gave us just a little bit of a boost, which is really, really helpful. We also have the nutritionist perk, which means that we can tell what food gives us in terms of calories and fats and proteins and whatnot. Getting up to level 4 forestry is going to be really, really helpful, as it increases our search radius, like the region around which we can search, and also gives us a better access to different types of loot. And so what are we looking for here? Well, what we want to do is figure out how we're going to make ourselves some food. Now, a spear is probably the best way to do this, because we have the spear fishing mod installed. So if I have a quick look, carve spear, we need long sticks. Okay, so to make a long stick, how can we make long sticks? I can carve it out of a plank, I can make it out of a plank, or carve it out of a sapling. So we gotta find planks or saplings. How do we make planks? To get planks, we need carving level 2. Okay, we can also make nails out of planks. I guess they're more like wooden dowels than anything else. And to do that, we need a large branch. Okay. Is there a way to, like, if I just go output items, is there a way to saw things? Yes, we can saw a log. And can we use... We can use a stone hacksaw or the homemade garden saw, both of which... Oh, the homemade hacksaw. I think we can make all of those, potentially. Alright, so we need logs. To get a consistent supply of logs, we're going to want a better axe, because the one we've got now sucks. Is there a stone axe? Like a better... Because this is the one we've got now, and it's trash. Yes, large stone axe. We need a large stone axe head and a large handle. Okay, which means we need to get to... Masonry level 6 is crazy. Or napping level 4. That's more manageable. And then what else did it need? It needed a large handle. Large... handle. I'm guessing that's going to be made from a plank, which needs carving level 3. Okay, so we need to get ourselves up to napping level 4 and carving, was it level 5? Oh yeah. Okay, we got a bit of work to do. And we're going to need a lot of rocks to do it with. Okay, so yeah, let's get the axe first, because the axe gives us better access, or more consistent access to logs, which gives us consistent access to planks, which gives us consistent access to everything else. Alright. So axe, then logs, then planks, then everything else. Gotcha. A needle! Oh my god, that's huge. Oh, that's so huge. Oh, we can do tailoring. That's enormous. And we got denim and leather. Oh, yes, dude. Okay, looking at this, we can actually make the garden saw. We need that. So let's go ahead and do that one. Beautiful, homemade garden saw. Okay, so now we have the ability to saw logs, which means potentially, hold on, we could use one of these ones. Nice. Okay, that gives us 3 planks. Beautiful. And then using those planks, we can make the large handle, right? That's building. Large handle, carving level 3. Okay, we gotta train some carving. In direct defiance of the laws of conservation of mass energy and common decency, Jim began the heretical process of training his carving skill by turning small woods into large pieces of scrap wood that he could then use to fuel his campfire. He refuses to take any questions about this practice, and no, no, he will not be sharing his secrets. If there are any physicists in the audience, I am sorry. Please consult your nearest physician before continuing. Maybe also seek out a therapist. I don't know how far along you are. Jim then worked on his napping game and quickly got up to level 3 of the 4 levels of Riz he'd need to make the improved axe. He carved out the handle, set it aside for later, stored some logs into longer sticks, and carved those into spears. He then hardened the tips in the fire. With these spears in hand, it was time to go fishing. Jim was more likely to catch a cold than anything else with his measly level 0 fishing skills, but hey, can't win if you don't play. Oh wow. One food. One food from that little sunfish, and a dirty rag and an empty beer can. And an empty plastic bottle. Oh joy. Wow. Okay. Okay. That's a little crazy. We got a medium fish. Nice. Some little bait fish. A bunch of small ones. I mean, there's a couple hundred calories in there. That's gonna keep us alive. Got a bunch of broken fishing nets, which are interesting. Looks like we can take them apart for wire. Ah, okay. We haven't learned how to do that. But maybe we get lucky and find a fishing magazine. It's possible. It's possible. We also got some bunch of rags, which is nice. We can wash those up. All right, well, I mean, you know what I say? I think we should fill all of our items here with dirty water and get the fire purifying. I would love some more water. Well, that wasn't quite the failure I was expecting. Jim returned home with his arms overflowing with several tiny, tiny fish and a small gaia of international garbage that he'd picked out of the muck along the shoreline. Despite the small ecological disaster in his hands, he had more than 10x'd his water storage capacity, and that was a very welcome sight. All that was left for now was to stash some of that water for later, grill up those little flounders. Look at that, it's eating a flat palm, I love that. And turn in for the night. I think it's time for us to put on our hat and go to bed. Unfortunately, the weather was finally starting to get to Jim, and he woke up feeling pretty sorry for himself on day 3. Eating all that cold fish probably didn't help either. Clearly, the man needed a win, and so he set out to finish up making that axe. This would require one more level of napping, which in turn would need even more stones. This could be achieved by cracking larger rocks into smaller ones, but for that he'd need a pickaxe. So we're going to smash that. Don't know where the baseball bat came from, but good job, Jim. Keep it up. Okay, so that will have given us 3 stones. We can then smack those stones to make sharp flint flakes. Okay, so make me some rope. Make all of it. Let's now make ourselves that pickaxe. Yes. Prop that up. Looks like we're filing a piece of wood with a rock. Don't know how that's gonna work, but I love the ambition. Amazing, we now have a homemade pickaxe. Okay, equip that in both hands. So with the homemade pickaxe, we should be able to pull up one of these rocks. Okay, and then break into stones. Oh hell yeah. And again, he found another baseball bat. I love that for him.
After that, it was a simple matter, right, of smashing the big rocks into smaller rocks, and using the smaller rocks to make even smaller rocks. And that gave him napping skill level 4. Then, right, get this, he hammers the axe head after hammering a couple of the locals too. He's a bloody menace, he is.
You know what, that's the take you get. Large stone axe. Hey, 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 there it is. Look at that. We have ourselves a large stone axe. Beautiful, which means that we can now process these trees. We can chop trees without busting it open. Jim immediately put the axe to work, cutting down a pair of trees and building himself a simple log table. No more trips up to the boulder for this guy. Beautiful. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair. However, there was no time to rest just yet. He'd need to do some more fishing before the sunset and get to work crafting a few more spears for his arsenal. With 12 more spears, 11 more spears to work with, it was clear that Jim was prepared for anything. However, before he could do anything, he'd need to get out there and gather some more food. Something was wrong with his spear technique, and he needed a new source of calories. Between you and me, gamers, I think the mod is broken. I think sometimes it just rolls zeros 50 times in a row. I think some Boolean is tripping to false, and we just fail every one. I don't know what it's about. I don't work here, okay? I just make the videos. Carrots. That's amazing. A bag of carrots. Carrot growing season is the worst month to plant it right now is, whoops. Right now would be the worst possible time to plant them. Okay. Well, YOLO. I think we need to carve ourselves a spade. Let's research this log over here. That might give us the recipe. It did. Give me the branch and come to the table and carve me a spade. Beautiful. With that, we can then go dig some farm plots. Do you honestly what better place than right here? Let's clear this tree out. Put a bit of cilantro in there. Who doesn't like the taste of soap in their food, huh? Hello. I cleared these woods. Huh? How'd you get over here? Oh my god, oregano. It's the perfect herb. So, what did we plant here? This was marigold, right? No, that's cilantro. Okay, let's do some more herbs. We definitely want lemongrass. That can be used to treat indigestion. Put in some chives. And then I need to go get my spade. It wasn't yet entirely clear to Jim why exactly he was sowing seeds when he expected to be rescued soon, but he pushed this narrative-defying thought aside. He was just keeping himself busy, he said. There was no doubt in his mind that he'd be rescued. He prayed. Beautiful. The mystery seed pile. Okay, give me a pair of bowls.
It's called a bowl. A bowl. It's called a bowl.
Bowls, because using the bowls, I can make fruit salads and regular salads. Yes. More berries. Then I can make salads from carrots. Can I season these? I can. Okay, so that's how we're gonna do happiness. We're going to have seasoned carrot salads. Yeah, beautiful. Look at that. Look at that unhappiness debuff, or rebuff, I suppose. Oh yeah. Now that's chow.
Finally, some good f***ing food.
Okay, eat the berry salad first. He's happier. Eat all of that goodness. Yes, dude, and we have dealt with the unhappiness. Oh, we're in a good place for tomorrow. Oh, yes, we are. With a full belly and a new appreciation for seasoning his food, Jim went to bed feeling more confident than ever that he was going to make it. But that confidence had come at a cost. A nightmare woke him up just after midnight. As he kindled the fire, he realized that clearly the past few days had been harder on him than he thought. I mean, why wouldn't they have been? He'd been a regular guy hanging out with his totally regular friends just a few days ago. But now he wasn't sure what he was anymore. Was he a murderer? He'd killed so many people since then? He still wasn't sure what to call the shambling corpses he shared this cursed island with. Jim stared into the flames. If he knew he was already damned, then damn it. There was no sense stopping now. He knew that by now the rescue teams would surely be looking for him, and he'd need to find a way to send a clear signal that he was here and alive when they finally found him. He could only think of one way to do it, and it was going to take some serious work. Jim awoke to his alarm blaring in his ear. He must have dozed off outside his tent, despite the dangers lurking all around him. He was cold and uncomfortable, but alive. He couldn't keep living like this, though. It was time to make this place safe and prepare for his rescue. 2 birds, 1 spear. Jim quickly wolfed down his breakfast salad and made himself ready for war. He wrapped his feet and hands in fresh rags and set everything aside
except the essentials. He wouldn't be returning home today, until this was done. One way or another. Jim took a deep breath, squared his shoulders, and set off to claim this land for his own. Hubris struck hard. Jim's new foot wraps had done nothing to protect him from scratching his feet, and while attempting to quickly make some new ones, he allowed one of the locals to get too close. The stinking corpse's fetid nails tore into his forearm and left a ragged gash along its length. Jim began to panic. Is this how it spread? Would he become like those monsters that had stalked him now for so long? He ran back to camp and quickly wrapped his injured feet and arm in sterile rags. It was hardly enough, but it should keep the external infections away, at least for a time. However, his work was not yet done. Jim had done it. He'd cleared the path north of the island, and as it didn't seem like the locals knew how to swim, he was now relatively safe here. He returned to base, grabbed his tools, and immediately got to work preparing for his master plan. First, he salvaged all the denim and leather he could from the tattered rags hanging off his former quarry, and collected what few treasures hid within their pockets. This included a handful of medicinal supplies, a stylish fanny pack, and best of all, an old newspaper. I'm not crazy. It's fine. It's so fine. After dropping off all his booty, Captain Underpants started work on clearing the area for his signal. That dust mask he found earlier on would really come in handy to help stave off any nausea caused by the piles of corpses. He worked well into the night, first clearing away the bushes and usable materials from the area, and then clearing out the grass so that the ground would be clearly visible. Done. Very nice. Very nice. By the time he returned to camp, the bandage on his arm had become sodden with blood, sweat, and who knew what else. He grimaced as he removed the bandage and gasped at what he saw. Infected. His arm was infected. He pushed the panic from his mind, slammed down some painkillers, and turned in for the night. Whatever his future held, it would have to wait until tomorrow. Jim awoke feeling absolutely miserable. He was hungry, tired, and terrified. His arm ached with a dull pain, and the skin around his wound felt like it was crawling with ants. He knew that dwelling on it would do nothing for him, and that distracting himself with work was really the only way forward. He still had a signal to construct if he wanted to escape, and that took priority over everything else. Jim barely even glanced at the fruit of his labors before returning home,
Battered, exhausted, and absolutely filthy, he lit his fire and immediately collapsed into a deep, deep sleep. Jim's alarm tore through the morning quiet. He glanced down at his gore-splattered body and fetid wraps on his forearm and cursed himself. How could he be so stupid as to fall asleep before scrubbing himself clean? He sprang up and sprinted down to the shore, washed off the grime, and breathed a huge, huge sigh of relief. The inside folds of his bandage were somehow, miraculously, still clean, and the infection seemed to be subsiding. Elated, Jim decided to inspect his work from yesterday. He was practically beaming with joy at finally catching a break. He wandered north, the sparse brush obscuring his view of yesterday's labors, until suddenly it cleared. Jim's wry smile faded from his lips as he looked out over what could only be described as an atrocity. Dozens upon dozens of bodies, neatly lined up, spelled out his message to the skies. SOS. Save our souls. Jim sat down. It was all he could do to keep from weeping. If this was the price of his salvation, did he even deserve it? How could any rescuer look upon that and choose to do anything but flee this place? If he was capable of this, what of him was even left to save? Jim stood up. It did not matter, he told himself. It could not matter, he pleaded. He had done what he needed to do to survive. To accept anything else as true would shatter him. Jim turned around. His stomach had begun to complain, and his water bottle was almost empty. He had to do something, anything, to keep his mind off of what lay before him. To forget what he had become. Jim then spent the rest of the week tending to his needs. Rescue would be coming any day now, he told himself, but he did not know exactly when. The days seemed to stretch and expand, and if not for his trusty watch, he would have no idea how much time had passed. He gathered food and resources, purified water, refined his skills, chopped trees, and repaired his tools. Eventually, he sat down to take note of everything he'd learned. Then he heard it, a dull thumping in the distance, tearing into the air as it powered towards him. A helicopter! Rescue! It was time! Jim sprinted over to the SOS and tried to get their attention. When they gave no acknowledgement, he ran back to camp to find something else to signal them with. Apparently, Mother Nature had similar ideas and sent a deer barreling through his campfire into the chaos, which died right next to the workbench and set it ablaze as well.
And I think to myself, what the fuck?
Jim wasn't one to let a good crisis go to waste, and he danced around the larger flames, hoping the chopper would land. They did not. He collapsed onto the ground near the clearing, hoping they would land there. They did not. In desperation, he ran up to the SOS and sat right in the middle of it, hoping that they would land. They did not. They're gone. I don't know what to do. They left us here. Oh, how do I gotta get out, man. We gotta get off this island. There's nowhere to go. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, help me. Help. Help. Clear out the bush, quickly. There we go. Plenty of space. They can put a helicopter there. The deer! Oh shit! No, 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 no! No! No, 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 no! Oh no, 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 no! My goods! Quickly, quickly, get the pickaxe! Oh crap! Get the pickaxe! The damn deer ran into the fire instead of mine. It burned down my table. No, dude. My precious table. Hold on. Put this out. I need... Where's all my water? Get all the water you can get. Extinguish the fire. How do you extinguish fire?